Hey, I'm Decathlon Gamer. Welcome back to FM22. It's Youth Factory, and this is episode 46. We enter a new season. We're starting off with the intake, and it's been an interesting one, very unlike last season. Now, first off, let's get the old news out of the way, being that there has been no further developments in our administration drama from a season ago. But we still haven't reached the opening to the season, so it's still possible that something could happen. I'll keep you updated with that as we go along. We'll take a look at the intake here in just a second, though you have a preview of it already. First off, let's go with the huge team update, and that is Joran Haukeberg, $180,000 transfer to Valerenga, the type that is forced by the board. Now, the good news for me is we got $180,000 out of it. The bad news was the first one that they accepted was significantly less. It was for about 45K up front. It was going to just exceed 100,000 in future options. And then after that was accepted, the other clubs came out with much better deals, much better. 150K plus in all of them straight up. There was about a half dozen that got accepted, and most of them were in that 170 to 180,000 range. I'd say 5 out of the 7 or so that were accepted were significant upfront money, mostly just straight up, here's the cash with a good offer on hand. And it was one of those that Haukeberg agreed to. Also, in 6 out of 7, we had loan back for the year offered, and that was also taken, and it was one of those. So we get Haukeberg for one more year. I can deal with that. And we get 180K right up front. No other, nothing to it other than I think we'll have a friendly with Valerenga. But yeah, 180,000. It's a good amount of cash, and that could just about, I think, have us covered for a year's worth of debt, meaning he's paying whatever losses we take. It also means, though, that, well, we're really in need of this being that promotion year. We need to get to that second tier, and this cash takes care of the debt, and then the promotion would then see our growth of butts in seats, meaning our finances should just about break even once we hit second tier. At least that's the goal, that's the objective, that's the thought. This could get us done for the year. And this also breaks the trend of last year where it was like, oh, you're in administration, we're going to offer you something worthwhile for your players, which is literally zero money. And then, they accepted all of that. We lost 30 players, and yeah, we brought back 2/3 of those, but it led to a really rough year last year that still almost saw us breaking into that promotion zone. Haukeberg is now a 98 on that current ability. He's about to break that century mark, which has been coveted for us because we haven't reached it yet. And as we've gotten a little bit better and the development has increased in our players, you can see how much better we are. But he is a standout performer, and it is going to hurt to lose him. But we get him for one more year. Remember, we've lost players before. I mean, we've lost a good 5 players through the course of this series to bids that just nothing we can do about it. It's going to hurt to lose him, but as a defender, well, it's going to really hurt to lose because our defense just hasn't been good enough without him, and his addition over the last couple of seasons, he's only 18, has been massive. That's a player that's going to make his mark on the game. It's good to see it. It's bad to see that we're about to lose him. Modeste is somebody who is getting significant offers, as is his partner in crime, Andreasen. I wouldn't mind losing one of them, just as long as we can keep the other. And Modeste still hasn't even made himself a starter in any way. So for the right money, for about 100K, I'd be fine with losing Modeste. But like I said, unlike last year, it's not just Haukeberg that we're getting significant offers for. Modeste, Andreasen, Arsend, Gay, all players that are coming in with some pretty big offers right now. Back to the intake. I'm liking Uleberg here. Center mid. Mazzala. That could be something, but 2.5 stars. I mean, that's maybe good enough to be first team, but maybe not great up front. Dang, look at all those elite talents, though. That's a significant group this season. Much better. Much better than what we had a year ago. Some top talents as well, just a handful of those. We'll see if they fit into the mix. And a few lesser good talents, though. Dang, look at that diversity of positional play that these guys have coming in, but probably not going to make the mix. Okay, so let's go into a quick analysis of the intake and see what we've got. Now, of course, my current ability, potential ability, unmasking really makes this task much easier than it would be otherwise, but here we go. First off, the one player that the AI didn't want to sign, and for good reasons, I've already opted to let them go, a 40-47. But here is our group within the intake, which they opted to sign everybody else, but I'm not going to be hanging on to, well, really many of them. In fact, let's start with those that are obvious to get rid of. There's some more. A 45-55 was good enough a few years back, but it is nowhere near good enough now. In fact, a 51-68, 53-67, even a 54-73 is no longer good enough, because at their best, they're going to just be on the edge, and they're not at their best. A 55-66 is not good enough. A 42-51, and even a 50-73. Those are out. So I will be eliminating each of them. Eliminating those players, we are left with this. A 41-120 right mid, important position for me because that's been a hard one to fill in recent seasons. Uleberg, who we were already briefly looking at, we'll take a deeper look at this player, but a 70-130. That is good enough to be on the squad right now, to at least be a squad player for us. And hopefully with the potential ability could take off rapidly. Center mid or striker for him is huge. Here's another capable player in the same position, but he's going to need time to develop in the U19s. We have a defensive player who's almost good enough right now, just on the verge of 60 plus, 104 potential, a little bit of development in the U19s. Maybe a year from now, we could see him replacing Haukeberg, who's on the way out. Kedar needs some work, and a decent goalkeeping prospect. Decent. Not as good as some of the others, but again, for me, a goalkeeper who develops, that by itself is going to be good enough, because Moen has gone maybe +2, +3 on current ability, and nobody else has developed at all in my set of goalkeepers. With that, though, that is 6 players in this intake that are worthy of hanging on, all with 100+ potential ability. 1.5 players that are good enough in the current ability area to be a factor either now or in the near future. That's a pretty decent intake, and considering that I'm on the verge of losing, say, 3 players, hopefully at the end of this season and not immediately. Obviously, we have already got 1 of those arranged. We've got 2 to 3 more future deals that could be happening before the close of the window, before the start of the season. I'll update you on that as we go along, but let's go ahead and take a deeper look at Uleberg and see what this player is all about. So Mazzala, center mid, kind of main position, 2.5 star compared to the others. Central midfielder attacking, which is one of the roles that I do have set. I don't have the Mazzala set just because I don't really have anybody who's fit for that. So he might be going with his personal best role and duty there. You can see here comparatively there's some good things. His off the ball is fantastic at a 15. A lot of really strong mental attributes for a 15-year-old. Fairly good physicals already with the acceleration there. The pace is a little bit off. The agility is a little bit off. His strength is definitely a little bit off. But that is not bad at all for a 15-year-old. 5'10" is a bit short, but, at 15, I'm guessing he's still going to be growing a bit. As for the technical attributes, he's already got a couple things going for him. His passing is excellent at a 12. His technique also very good for this age. The long shots, the tackling are competitive. The first touch is definitely competitive. And he's got some okay dribbling, crossing, finishing that, yes, I could absolutely see this player contributing immediately. Now, as for on top, we're looking at a deep lying forward on support or an advanced forward on attack. So yes, he is going to be in the senior squad from day one. Really happy about that part. Here's how Uleberg compares to Lovas, who would be that striker who would be vulnerable. And you can see just how close this is. He's already a little faster, a little better vision, definitely better defensively, better aerially, which is important with Lovas. Now, technical and attacking, he's a little bit off. But if he gets any development coming in and getting some time, you could see him bursting right past Lovas and being a bigger player for us, which would mean more goals because, again, Bergam sets Lovas up, but Lovas only scores X amount. This would be a more well-rounded player, and especially when you add in the aerial part of that, Lovas misses a lot of those opportunities that he gets on the end of it. Now, in the midfield, we compare him with either Ostby or Arsend. First, we'll look at Ostby. Ostby is much better physically, a little bit faster, a little bit higher on the mentals, but otherwise, Uleberg is significantly better than him already. Attribute distribution in the right kind of areas. Dang. And Arsend is a very similar player, and yet Uleberg is a little bit better, isn't he? I mean, Arsend has that slight advantage in the speed, the physical, the defending, the mental, but it's very slight, meaning they're so similar. And just that tiny bit of development from Uleberg, obviously young, should see development, but it's not a guarantee. With training facilities at a level 3 and a fairly weak coaching staff, he might not be the kind of player who's going to develop. And we'll take a look into some other things here and what we can find out about him based on the coaching report and have an idea whether this might be a player who's going to develop. There's ways for me to look really deeply into that, but I don't want to take those steps. We reveal enough information already. But anyway, then there's the other factors, right? Where Arsene might be slightly better in the same kind of area, same shape, same mold of a player. Uleberg is already slightly better technically and in vision, which kind of counters that. He is definitely better aerially, though, it's still marginal. But where you have 4 slightly betters for Arsene, and you have 2 slightly betters and 1 definitely better, that almost balances out. But then there's the attacking, and Uleberg is a +4 compared to Arsene. And those are my 2 center mids, and they're not that creative. Between Ostby and Arsene, they are both more defensive. They're both about ball recovery before they are about setting up the offense. Uleberg does all of it. He's ball recovery and creation. And that's big. That's big. Uleberg looks like he could fit in immediately for any one of those 3 players and be about as good, if not better, than either Lovas, Arsene, or Ostby, meaning this guy deserves to play. And for me, the great news is I can actually get some squad rotation going, rotating Oleberg playing most every day and giving one of those three a day off. Now that's, of course, if I'm controlling things. The AI, well, if they control things, they might just go with him in one position and sacrifice one of these guys on a regular basis, which then gives me the issue of them going, wait, I'm a star player, I want to play every day, and not being very happy. But yes, this is a good start. This is a really good start. Okay, so looking at the pros, we have intelligent, performance and training. Now that says lately, of course, he's been with the club for 2 days, so that's deceiving. And his training rating is also deceiving because he's been with the club for 2 days. He hasn't trained even a full week. But if it says he's good in training after just a couple days, probably means he's going to be good in training, and therefore probably should see development. Whether it's rapid or not, I don't know. But if he sees any development, he's going to overtake these guys in a very short period of time. Okay, what are the cons, though? Heading. Yet he's stronger than all of the guys we looked at. Very one-footed. It looks like that's something I'll need to trade on. I haven't checked at that yet. He's not consistent, and he's just a standard player for the league. But he's a 15-year-old, and he's already a standard player for the league. Yes. Oh, I'm excited. I am so excited by this. Looking at another coach, same sort of things being said across the board. After going through the entire coaching staff and all of their reports, it's almost identical at this stage for a player who's only been with us for 2 days. But all of them saying he's good in training, and all of them saying his weakness is, well, really heading, which for us, that isn't a big deal because he's actually better than all three of the guys that he is most comparable to. Personality is balanced, so that's at least a good sign. It's not a great sign, but if he's got balanced personality, he should see development, especially if we give him playing time, you would think. He is volatile, which that's a little worrying. All right, so right-footed only. We do need to address that, so we need to train him in both feet. And then balanced personality. That's all we have on that part. But again, it seems like he will train well. And if that's the case, he should develop. So getting him into the senior squad and getting him in the mix is definitely in our best interest. We want to get this guy going soon, and this could be a big-time player. And I think we're in good shape if our losses are minimal, right? If we're losing Arsene at the end of the season, looks like Oleberg's our natural replacement there. So maybe not over Lovas, maybe not over Ostby, but we're thinking about Arsene probably going because the offers are just about there. Hopefully we still get him for the year and Oleberg just kind of goes into the mix. And then it looked like we might have our replacement for Haukeberg as well. Now, of course, that's going to be a drop-off in talent where Oleberg really isn't. I think this might be more of an upgrade type situation after a year's time. If that's the case, we upgrade one, we downgrade the other, we're just about okay. And if the sell of the two plus one of those left mids, as long as we are able to retain the other, if that's where we draw the line for this season, A, if we find promotion, oh yeah, I'm thrilled. And B, I'm not so worried about the future, as we should be able to balance things out. Finances will be good with sell of 3 players, and then promotion would really help with the not lose money next season scenario. And this intake is in the right places, the right kind of players. I'm excited by what's to come for the season, but let's see if we can draw the line at that 2.5 to 3 players in terms of sales, and the right players sold and nobody else sold before the deadline. Yeah, there's still some things to worry about on that, but I'm really excited by Oleberg especially. It's a very good thing that we signed Oleberg as a youth intake player because he's going to be necessary immediately Just as the bids kept coming in, we're down a man. Immediately, Arsend sold 275,000. No loan back option on this one. So Arsend is gone, and that is a huge cash influx. On top of that, just the 20% of next sale. But that's good. That is really good in terms of the finances involved on what we eventually got, because we know the board would have accepted a whole lot less money than what came out of that one. Spjelkovic is where he's going, and I want to say that that's a team that's right in our level. That part's a little worrying that we're losing Arsene to a direct competitor. We'll be okay because we have Oleberg, meaning there is no drop off. We kind of already foresaw that this was coming. I just thought it would be a year from now, but Oleberg into the starting lineup. Hopefully he steps up to the challenge, but for now we remain equally strong with potential to continue to get better. Haukeberg, of course, leaving at the end of the year means we're going to get worse, but we've got, a potentially good replacement there as well. So again, we're sticking with it's probably going to come down to this season. This needs to be the season that we are in the promotion challenge and get that promotion to the second tier. Otherwise, we could flounder here for a while yet if we start to lose players at a higher rate. And our reputation has definitely built to the point where clubs are now willing to spend some money to pick us up. Now, the good thing that can come from that is if you really start collecting a decent amount of change, this is going to happen. You're going to get to a positive balance at a level, at an amount that we can then redistribute those funds into an improved training facility, into coaching badges, into what we need to make this club better long term. Might hurt us short term. It might flounder us into this division a while yet. But, with a couple more levels in the training facilities, you're going to see a more rapid or a more steady, a more consistent improvement by those young players. And it's going to eventually make us good enough, despite how many other teams want to come in and pluck our players away. It will make us better. And especially if the finances are better, the board's not going to accept a low bar. They're going to start accepting only a higher bar before they force deals through. Which means, yes, if those offers keep coming in, it's just going to make the finances better and better and better in time. But that's 2 deals done, one out immediately and one around for the year. Here's a sign of how important club status is. Now that Haukeberg is officially a member of Vålerenga, his value went from damn near nothing to somewhere between 1.5 to 3 million. That's a big increase, and my oh my, what a difference that would make to a club of our stature if we had the high end of that, if we had 3 million for that deal. Instead, Haukeberg's gone for less than 200,000, which is not a small sum, but it's a heck of a lot less than what it could have been. But anyway, he has broken through. He's hit the century mark already. He's now a 100 current ability. The transfer deadline has just passed. It's midnight. It's now behind us. No additional deals, though there was one other that I did accept, outside of the fact that only a single player is out on loan. We have reached a new status where in past years everybody wanted to offer somewhere between 60 and 100% salary coverage. Kind of depended on what the salary was, but I never accepted the 60s. I would sometimes accept the 80s. I would definitely accept the 100% offers on covering salary. And we were even just starting to get to the point where teams were willing to pay an additional fee. Small amounts, $6, $10, $20 a month. Not much, but something on top of what just the salary. So for me, it was getting useful, helpful to send players out on loan. And that was part of the reason why we had such a large squad and keep around players that needed to develop in-house and I would send out lots of the extras and have their salary paid by somebody else, and essentially break even at least on all those extra loan deals. We've reached the point now this season where nobody wants to offer any financial support. They think we're a big enough club that we can foot the bill ourselves. Gordon Strand got a whole 20% offer, and I think there was maybe one U19s player that got the same, but I think they may have opted to stay. Yes, nobody from the U19s are. What we're looking at right now is 28 senior squad players, a 29th on loan, and about 20 in the U19s. Now that's still a semi-large squad, but our balance is overall fairly well covered. We're slightly above what we're supposed to be paying, as we've had new contracts requested by guys like Ostby, and we took care of it. We stepped up. Ostby right now is going backwards, though. He was an 85. He's down to an 82. His training has been really poor. It was actually below a 6 just over a week ago, and he was the one that I took aside and criticized. Hey, man, you need to train a bit better here. And he stepped up and improved. But you can see from this, you can see who is developing. Those in the green are definitely the ones that are coming along more rapidly. With Arsend gone, we're going to need Uleberg. And at 6.85, without ever having played a match, you'd suspect he's right on that edge. And if we start giving him his starts, which now that Arsend is gone, he's going straight into Arsend's spot in the starting lineup. Hopefully with a decent amount of training, plus you start getting him some starts, hopefully he will take off in development and get somewhere in a short amount of time, get into the 80s at least. I'm not sure if he's going to be a Haukeberg if he's only training at a 6.85, but he's definitely not training poorly. Fawoli, I get why he's not training much better, because his potential is what it is. It's only so good. Bergam, a little slow on his progression, but is progressing. And then just Ostby sucking. He's just not going anywhere. Right now we're still listed as insecure when it comes to our funds. That probably has something to do with the fact that we still owe $1.5 million. It's a lot of money. It's a whole lot of money. Payable at $10K a month is also not cheap. $10K a month is a bit of an expense for a club our size. For that reason, we're still here. Positive balance of $200K, absolutely helping as well. It's just about time, because we're still seen as insecure, to try something. I did, maybe a week ago, ask for a coaching badge and was denied, but the balance was quite a bit different at that moment. For that, it may be something I could try again on and get, but the training facilities is the absolute, if we have summer transfer window, if somebody's gone then and we bring in another pretty good chunk of change, I definitely want to be hounding the board about getting the training facilities upgraded, because at level 3 we're getting that small amount of training. If we can get that up to a level 6 or something like that, that would really trigger that. Those who are getting the small amount, that would increase rapidly. They would get quite a bit. Those that aren't, those that are kind of stable, you would start to see those climbing. Those that kind of gradually decline would probably stabilize, especially with my current habit of hanging on to those with the potential ability and not hanging on to those that are kind of already stable in terms of close to their limit, unless it's like Fawoli, who can kind of play. And yes, we did bring Fawoli back after his $13,000 offer that we got a year ago, and we got him back on loan for the year, but I did bring him back manually after that. $13,000 is just not enough for a player of that caliber. Actually, it's just about enough, but we couldn't afford to get rid of him, and the board shouldn't have if we weren't right in the beginning stages of going into administration. They wouldn't have accepted that deal. We've seen what sort of deals we're getting. Speaking of, there was one more, and that's Sciole. Sciole gone to the same place as Arsend. $6,000 up front, $25,000 long term. It's not a lot of money, but Sciole was not developing. didn't have the greatest potential, was annoying the heck out of me asking for transfers, and somebody offered us some money. So I was like, yeah, sure. Let's take it. Let's get him out of here. I have enough players in reserve that aren't developing that can fill his vacancy, which was not much of a vacancy anyway. But it's been a good year in terms of the finances. 450,000. That is a huge boost to this club, and with the amount of money we have right now at 200,000, we should finish this season with a positive balance still. Should. Hopefully. All right, folks. Well, with the transfer window behind, we don't have to worry about any more players going. Now I just need to push forward that couple weeks to get into the season and get things off and rolling. So next time we will kick off the season, and this feels like the season. That promotion could be possible. Morale is good right now in most of the players, though with the transfer deadline just passing at midnight, there was a couple more players who had offers come in late, and they kind of went, oh, hey, so-and-so wants to sign me? Wow. And, they're a bit unsettled now. So we have a few players unsettled, but that's nothing new. I start every season with a few players unsettled. Overall, morale is good. The team thinks we're going to finish in a decent place, though the league doesn't think so. The media prediction had us 11th, but, we're looking at 9th. And again, for how many years in a row is this? Our position has improved. We went from an NA to a 200-1 to a 100-1 to a 50-1, now a 33-1. Still the same teams at the top. Still got to watch out for those. A few promotion teams, Lillestrøm, Start 2 coming back. Nordstrand, the relegation team that came down, and Fyllingsdalen, the other team that was promoted. They're all looking to be mid-table. They now have us mid-table. I still think that's kind of one of those things that's going to push us up. I actually have a player now in the Dream 11 for the first time since we've been at this level. It's Haukeberg. He's not going to be around much longer. We only get him for the one more year, but that's the progress we've made. We now have a player in the Dream 11. We are making a larger and larger mark at this level. That is going to do it for this episode, though. I'm Decathlon Gamer. Like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you next time. Have a good one. Be safe out there. Bye for now.